Let me tell you something, ladies. A man can walk out of your life, break your heart, and think he's done with you. But then one day, out of nowhere, he shows back up. And you sit there asking yourself, why? Why would he hurt me, leave me, and now come back? The truth is, men are wired differently. See, sometimes a man doesn't even realize what he had until he loses it. A good woman is not easy to replace. You can't just walk out there and find loyalty, compassion, care, and support on every corner. So when a man hurts you and later shows back up, most of the time it ain't because he suddenly became a better man. It's because he realized the grass on the other side wasn't greener. When a man walks out of your life after hurting you, it often leaves you broken, questioning yourself and wondering why he would choose to return later. The truth is many men leave not because you weren't good enough, but because they were not ready to handle the depth of your love, your standards, or your strength. Sometimes men act out of pride, ego, or immaturity, and in the heat of the moment, they hurt the very person who cared for them the most. But what happens later is that time and distance begin to reveal the reality. A man starts to reflect on what he had, what he lost, and how no one else has been able to give him the same energy, the same peace, or the same love. That is when he tries to make his way back, because he begins to realize that the grass wasn't greener on the other side. A man might come back because he underestimated you in the beginning. Maybe he thought you would always be there no matter what, that he could play games, test your patience, or walk away without consequences. But when he leaves and finds himself surrounded by people who don't give him the same loyalty, suddenly the light turns on. He realizes the value of what he lost. It's in that absence, in that silence. When a man learns that the love you offered him wasn't common, he comes back because your presence brought him stability, something that temporary people out there can't replace. Another reason men come back is regret. In the moment of hurting you, he may have convinced himself that he was right, that he needed freedom, or that you were the problem. But regret has a way of creeping in late at night, when he's alone with his thoughts. That's when the weight of his mistakes begins to press down on him. The laughter you shared, the comfort of your voice, the way you supported him when no one else did, those memories haunt him. So he returns, hoping you will forgive, hoping the door he slammed shut is still cracked open for him to walk through. Men also come back after hurting you because they crave what is familiar and safe. A lot of men don't realize until they're gone how cold the world can be without someone who truly cares. Out there, people may use him, play him, or treat him like he's replaceable. But with you, he felt chosen, valued, and accepted for who he was. That sense of safety and belonging becomes a magnet, pulling him back to you. He might not even fully understand it himself, but deep down, he knows he lost something rare. Sometimes men return because they realize they've grown. Distance teaches lessons. Life humbles people. The very mistakes that caused him to hurt, you can also be the fuel for his growth. A man who was immature, selfish, or prideful before may look back and recognize the wrong he did. In his journey, he may have faced losses, failures, or heartbreaks of his own that opened his eyes. And with that growth, he circles back to the person he believes deserves a better version of him. Lastly, men come back because love leaves an imprint. No matter how far they go, no matter who they meet, if the love was genuine, it will stay etched in their hearts. They may try to run from it, ignore it, or replace it. But when all else fails, they find themselves drawn back to the source of that love. It's not always about winning you back. Sometimes it's about seeking closure, sometimes about redemption, and other times about reclaiming what they once abandoned. But the truth is, men rarely come back without a reason, and most of the time, that reason has everything to do with realizing the pain they caused. You also robbed them of the best part of their life. When a man comes back after hurting you, one of the biggest truths you must understand is that his return does not automatically mean he has changed. Too often, women confuse a man's presence with his progress. Just because he says he is sorry or admits he made a mistake, that doesn't mean he has grown into the kind of man who will protect your heart. Words can be sweet, they can be persuasive, but words are also easy to give. A real change in a man is seen in his actions, in how he chooses to move differently, in how he treats you and values you after he returns. The danger is believing that an apology is enough to erase pain. The reality is, change requires consistency, effort, and accountability, and not every man is willing to walk. That many men come back because they miss the comfort and attention they once had, not because they are ready to commit at a deeper level. He may say all the right things. He may call you beautiful again, may promise he will do better, may remind you of how much history you share, but that doesn't mean his character has shifted. When a man hurts you and then comes back, you have to ask yourself, is he returning because he finally respects me, or is he coming back because he feels lonely, guilty, or rejected elsewhere? If the reason he's back is selfish, then you're likely to see the same patterns repeat. True change takes humility, and humility is not easy for many men. To change, he has to confront his own flaws, his ego, his selfish decisions, and the way he mishandled your love. That takes courage, and it takes time. A man who has truly changed won't just tell you what you want to hear. He'll show you in how he communicates, how he listens, how he prioritizes you, and how he protects the relationship. If those actions are missing, then his return is nothing more than an attempt to soothe his own emptiness, not to heal what he broke between you. A man can return with promises that sound beautiful in the moment. He may even believe what he is saying at the time, but without discipline, without effort, those promises fade quickly. That is why women have to learn to watch actions more than words. If he left you once without care, what safeguards has he built within himself to make sure he doesn't repeat that mistake? If he hurt you before, what proof is there that he values your heart now? If he hasn't taken accountability, if he hasn't acknowledged the pain he caused in detail, if he hasn't shown patience in earning back trust, then the return is shallow. Sometimes men come back because of timing, not transformation. He may feel more comfortable now, more settled, or more ready for companionship, but that doesn't mean he has addressed the issues that led him to hurt you in the first place. A man who truly changes will not just want you back. He will fight for your trust. He will accept your boundaries, and he will work to rebuild what he broke. Anything less than that is not change. It's convenience. This is where your strength comes in. You have to stand firm in recognizing the difference between words and proof. Do not confuse his comeback with genuine growth. It is not your job to rebuild a man who has not decided to rebuild himself. Your responsibility is to protect your heart, to set clear boundaries, and to let his actions speak. If he is serious, he will show consistency. If not, then his return is only a cycle waiting to repeat. A man who truly values you will never again risk losing you. He will not take shortcuts. He will not put you in a position to question his sincerity. He will take his time, prove his intentions, and honor the gift of being allowed back into your life. When a man comes back after hurting you, one of the strongest reasons is that he craves the comfort, love, and stability you once gave him. A man can step out into the world thinking he is ready for new experiences, for excitement, for other people who seem appealing at first glance. But what he doesn't realize in that moment is that not everyone will pour into him the way you did. Not everyone will care about his well-being, listen to his worries, or nurture him through his struggles. He begins to notice the difference when he compares the superficial attention he may get from others with the deep, unconditional love you once gave. That craving for comfort begins to grow, and it often leads him back to you, not necessarily because he has changed, but because he misses how safe he felt in your presence. Men may not admit it, but they crave emotional stability as much as women do. The world teaches them to appear strong, to hide their emotions, and to act like they don't need anyone. But in truth, every man longs for a place where he doesn't have to perform, where he can rest without fear of being judged. When he had that with you, he may have taken it for granted. He may have thought it would always be there. But once he loses it, he realizes how rare it truly is. Out there, people can flatter him or entertain him, but they don't offer the same depth of connection. They don't provide that grounding energy that makes him feel whole. That is why men so often circle back to reclaim the peace that they didn't know they would miss so deeply. It is also about familiarity. Love, when it's real, builds habits and routines that become a man's anchor. The way you checked on him, the way you encouraged him, the way you stood by his side. All those small things create a sense of home. When he is without them, life feels off balance. Even if he tries to distract himself with new people or new experiences, he often finds himself longing for what he once had. The comfort of being truly understood is not something he can easily duplicate. That familiarity becomes like gravity, pulling him back toward the person who made him feel at ease in his own skin. But the craving is not just emotional. It is also spiritual. When a man hurts you and then realizes the void that follows, he begins to sense the absence of your energy, your love, your care, your consistency. They gave him a sense of purpose. He may not have said it before, but he felt empowered by the way you believed in him. When he loses that, he begins to feel the weight of emptiness. And no matter how hard he tries to fill it, nothing compares to the encouragement you once gave. This craving can drive him to reach out, to apologize, to test if he can step back into that warmth. However, what you must understand is that craving comfort does not always equal deserving it. Just because a man misses your stability doesn't mean he is willing to give you the same in return. Sometimes men come back simply because they want to feel cared for again, not because they are ready to provide that same care. You have to discern whether his return is about mutual growth or about his need to take from you again. The power is in recognizing that your love, your comfort, and your stability are precious, and not everyone who comes back deserves access to them. So, when he returns craving the love and stability you once gave, see it as proof of your worth. He misses you because what you offered was extraordinary. He comes back because you were his safe place. But don't let that craving alone be enough to let him back in. Make him show that he is ready to protect the very love he now seeks again. When a man hurts you and later tries to return, one of the deepest truths is that your value is what makes you unforgettable, not his love. People sometimes confuse a man's comeback as proof of his affection, but more often it is evidence of how rare you are. A man can walk away thinking he will find someone else who makes him feel the same way, but when he fails to replace the love, loyalty, and presence you gave, it forces him to recognize that you were unique. Your value is not diminished by his choice to leave. Instead, his return is a reflection of how powerful your presence was in his life. He can meet new faces, have new experiences, and try to fill the gap with distractions. But none of it will measure up to what you brought into his world. That is why he remembers you, why he feels the pull back, and why he cannot erase your impact no matter how much time passes. It is easy to think love is what makes people stay, but the truth is, plenty of people feel love and still leave. What keeps someone committed is recognizing value. When a man didn't fully value you before, he might take your kindness for granted, assuming it will always be there. But the moment it disappears, the reality hits him hard. He begins to understand that your patience, your loyalty, your effort, your willingness to stand by him, these were not things he was entitled to. They were gifts. Once those gifts are gone, he sees just how empty life feels without them. His memory of you becomes a reminder of the high standard he can't find elsewhere. That memory lingers, no matter what he does to escape it. Men come back not because you were ordinary, but because you were extraordinary. They come back because you touched parts of them that others never could. Your presence built them up, and without it, they feel weaker, less grounded, less whole. He may not admit it to you directly, But in his heart, he knows that the peace and strength he felt around you is not easy to replace. He can chase after temporary attention. He can entertain shallow connections, but those moments fade quickly. What doesn't fade is the impact of a woman who knows how to nurture, who knows how to inspire, who knows how to stand as both a partner and a supporter. That is unforgettable, and it is your value that etches itself into his memory long after he thought he had moved on. Sometimes when men return, they don't even realize it is your value they are chasing. They may not have the words to describe it, but what they miss is the way you made them feel safe, the way you believed in them, the way you carried yourself with strength and grace. All of those things are reflections of your worth. When you love from a place of wholeness, when you give without losing yourself, you leave a mark that no one else can duplicate. That is why even after causing pain, even after walking away, men find themselves drawn back, not because their love is stronger than before, but because your value is undeniable. This is where your perspective becomes important. You must learn to see his return not as a compliment to him, but as a confirmation of you. You don't need his comeback to validate your worth. His inability to forget you is already proof of how valuable you are. But just because he recognizes it now doesn't mean he deserves another chance to benefit from it. Your value is not something he can use as a revolving door, coming and going whenever he pleases. It is something to be protected, cherished, and honored. If he didn't understand that the first time, it is up to you to decide if he has earned the privilege of experiencing it again. A man's love may fade, may change, may come and go, but your value is permanent. His return is not a symbol of love. It is a reflection of how unforgettable your worth is. The choice then is not whether he still loves you, but whether you are willing to let him experience the fullness of your value again. And that decision rests entirely in your hands. When a man comes back after hurting you, one of the driving forces behind his return is the realization of how cold and lonely the world feels without you. At first, when he walked away, he may have believed there would be excitement, freedom, or better opportunities waiting for him. He may have thought he would find someone else who could match or even surpass what you gave him. But life outside the safety of your love often teaches harsh lessons. He discovers that people out there are not as patient, not as forgiving, not as loyal, and certainly not as invested as you were. That contrast begins to sting when he realizes that the love he left behind is the very thing he now misses the most. Loneliness is a powerful teacher, and when the attention fades and the thrill wears off, he remembers the warmth of your presence and the comfort of having someone who truly cared. The truth is, many men don't understand the value of consistency until they lose it. With you, he had someone who checked on him, encouraged him, and created a sense of home. Out in the world, connections can feel shallow. People may entertain him for a while, but they are not invested in building him up. He may get temporary attention, but he doesn't get genuine care. This realization makes the nights feel colder, the days feel emptier, and the relationships feel hollow. That emptiness often drives a man to look back and think about what he walked away from. He remembers the way you supported him when no one else did, and that memory becomes heavy. It makes him crave what he once had but did not know how to protect. A man who left you might have believed he could easily replace your presence. But when he meets others who don't measure up, the contrast becomes impossible to ignore. He sees how rare it is to find someone who not only loves deeply, but also invests in his growth, his peace, and his future. Without you, he is forced to face the reality that loyalty, kindness, and patience are not things everyone offers. When the world shows him how disposable he is to others, it magnifies how valuable he was to you. That recognition often stirs regret, and regret is a powerful motivator for a man to return. Loneliness doesn't just highlight what he lost, it also humbles him. Pride might have led him to leave, but humility often drives him back. Being out in the world without your support can make him realize that he isn't as strong as he thought he was. The same ego that caused him to hurt you is often broken down when he realizes that the world won't nurture him the way you did, that humility can soften him, making him more open to admitting his mistakes, acknowledging your worth, and seeking your forgiveness. But whether or not that humility leads to permanent change is another question. The emptiness he feels without you is not just about missing a relationship. It is about missing the foundation you provided. A good woman creates an atmosphere of stability, love, and encouragement that a man can build his life on. When he no longer has that, his world feels shaky, unsteady, and incomplete. That absence is what makes him come back. But the important truth is this: his loneliness is not your responsibility to fix. You are not required to heal the void he created by his own actions. His regret and emptiness are lessons he needs to learn, and while they may bring him back to your door, you are the one who gets to decide if he is worthy of re-entering your life. So when a man returns after hurting you, understand that part of his comeback is driven by the harsh reality of how cold life feels without your love. He comes back because he underestimated what you gave him. He comes back because the world outside reminded him that people like you are rare. And most of all, he comes back because in his loneliness, he finally realized that what you offered was not ordinary. It was extraordinary. When a man comes back after hurting you, it is often because real love leaves an imprint that he cannot erase no matter how far he goes. He may try to walk away as if he no longer needs you. He may even convince himself that he can replace you, but deep down he knows something about you is unforgettable. Love, when it is genuine, does not fade just because of distance, silence, or even mistakes. It lingers in the heart, in the mind, and in the spirit. That is why he can be surrounded by new people, new experiences, and distractions, but still find himself thinking about you. The connection you shared was not just physical or emotional. It was something deeper. And that depth is not something he can replicate easily. The mark you left on his life becomes a shadow he cannot escape, and eventually that shadow pulls him back toward you. A man can walk away for many reasons: immaturity, ego, confusion, fear of commitment. But when love is real, it keeps calling to him. He might try to drown it out, but it surfaces in quiet moments. He remembers the way you laughed, the way you believed in him, the way you stood beside him when others didn't. These memories attach themselves to his soul like anchors, and even if he tries to let them go, they resurface when he least expects it. That's why some men come back after months or even years, because the imprint never left them. It is not about convenience. It is about realizing that what they walked away from was irreplaceable. Men also come back because your love became a standard for them. Once they've experienced it, every relationship afterward is subconsciously compared to you. Even if they try to deny it, they measure new connections against the depth, loyalty, and consistency you once gave. When others fall short, the truth becomes clear. You set a bar they cannot lower. That imprint shapes the way they see love, and it makes them realize what they had was rare. Coming back is often their way of reaching for the standard they once abandoned, hoping they can reclaim it. But an imprint is not just about good memories. Sometimes it's about guilt too. When a man knows he hurt someone who truly loved him, that knowledge never fully leaves. He can try to bury it, but it lingers in his conscience. He knows he broke something valuable, and no matter how far he runs, he cannot escape the reminder that he was once loved deeply and mishandled it. That guilt can be a heavy burden, and often it drives him back not only for love, but also for redemption. He wants to believe he can make things right, that he can be forgiven, and that he can still have a place in your heart despite the damage he caused. The important thing to understand is that his return doesn't always mean he deserves another chance. Just because love left an imprint on him doesn't mean he is ready to give back the same kind of love. He may come back because he misses you, but missing you and being ready for you are not the same thing. He may crave the bond you shared, but craving it doesn't guarantee he knows how to protect it. What makes the difference is not the imprint itself, but what he chooses to do with it. If he is ready to take responsibility, to prove through consistent actions that he has changed, then the imprint might lead to a new chapter. But if not, then his return is only a reflection of how unforgettable you are, not proof that he is worthy of your heart again. So when he shows up after all the pain, see his return for what it is, evidence that your love was powerful enough to leave a mark he could never erase. It is a reminder that you are not ordinary, that what you gave was rare, and that no matter where he went, he could not escape the truth of your value. But at the same time, remember that just because love leaves an imprint on him does not mean you are required to open the door again. His memories are his lesson, but your decision is your power.